sa DepEd. Halina't alamin atin ang tuklasin, mga health programs ating palaganapin. Tara na okay na okay, Oplan kalusugan sa DepEd. Halina't alamin atin ang tuklasin, mga health programs ating palaganapin. School-based feeding program ating pagtibayin. Wastong pagkain ating ihahain, mga batang kulang sa timbang. Ating pakakainin ng Go, Grow, and Glow. Adolescent reproductive health ay gawing gabay at patnubay ng batang mausisa ay di maranasan. Ang early pregnancy ay maiiwasan. Kalusugan ay mahalaga sa edukasyon ng mga bata. Tayo na't magkaisa, halina tayo'y sumama. Tara na okay na okay, Oplan kalusugan sa DepEd. Halina't alamin atin ang tuklasin, mga health programs ating palaganapin. Tara na okay na okay, Oplan kalusugan sa DepEd. Halina't alamin atin ang tuklasin, mga health programs ating palaganapin. National Drug Education Program or NDEP kung tawagin. Ito'y paigtingin, mga bisyo'y alisin, sigarilyo at droga'y dapat nang buksain. Water, sanitation, and hygiene in schools ating kompletuhin, 3 stars ay abutin. Malinis na tubig, segregated na toilet, group hand washing at may napkin na rin. Kalusugan ay mahalaga sa edukasyon ng mga bata. Tayo na't magkaisa, halina tayo'y sumama. Tara na okay na okay, Oplan kalusugan sa DepEd. Halina't alamin atin ang tuklasin, mga health programs ating palaganapin. Tara na okay na okay, Oplan kalusugan sa DepEd. Halina't alamin atin ang tuklasin, mga health programs ating palaganapin. Medical, dental, and nursing services na atin ding binibigay upang matugunan problemang pangkalusugan ng mga guro at kabataan. School mental health program, kamalayan ito'y bigyang-gabay. Isipang malusog para sa akin at sa'yo, kabataan at guro, tara usap tayo. Kalusugan ay mahalaga sa edukasyon ng mga bata. Tayo na't magkaisa, halina tayo'y sumama. Tara na okay na okay, Oplan kalusugan sa DepEd. Halina't alamin atin ang tuklasin, mga health programs ating palaganapin. Tara na okay na okay, Oplan kalusugan sa DepEd. Halina't alamin atin ang tuklasin, mga health programs ating palaganapin. Tara na okay Oplan kalusugan sa DepEd. Halina't alamin atin ang tuklasin, mga health programs ating palaganapin. Okay talaga sa DepEd. Okay talaga sa DepEd.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فقال ربكم ادعوني أستجب لكم آمين يا رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين اللهم اجمع شمل المسلمين والكريستيان والأمة في مدينة دماو وسلم دائما مجتمعنا هذا بالسلم والأمن والتقدم في بلدنا هذا آمين يا رب العالمين ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله على خير خلقه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين يا رب العالمين.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today to praise and worship you and give you thanks for all the things you continue to provide for ourselves and our families. Father, we humbly ask for forgiveness for all the times we have offended you, when we forget to acknowledge your presence in the image of our brothers and sisters, and for moments we fail to be good stewards of the blessings you have given us. Continue to guide and protect each one of us, Lord, that we may always walk in the lights of your everlasting love and mercy. Grant us, Father, with your comfort in times of distress and with your strength in times of weakness. Bestow upon us your unending grace and healing, that we may in turn become instruments of gentleness and compassion to others. We ask all this in the name of your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, with the prayer and the intercession of our Blessed Mother. Amen.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Kumusta po kayo? Kumusta po ang ating pang-siyam na linggo sa ating National Drug Education Program webinar series? Imagine, we have been together in the past 9 weeks. May kasama pa po yun na 1 week na pahinga during the opening of classes. But it's been 9 episodes. Kasamang episode pala natin ngayon, no? It's been 8 episodes for the past weeks and now nasa 9th episode na po tayo. Kumusta po kayo? Kumusta ang mga natututunan natin every week? Kumusta yung mga lessons na sinusulat natin sa ating mga journals, sa ating mga notebooks? And hopefully na itatranslate din natin sa mga practical application. Sana meron din tayo pagdating sa ating mga eskwelahan, sa ating mga classes, and kung tayo naman po ay NDEP coordinator sa mga programs or policies na ating tinutulungang ma-implement. So it's our desire na ang ating pong webinar series ay talagang makapagpalakas sa ating implementation ng National Drug Education Program. So kumusta po? Nawa ay nagiging helpful pa rin po ang bawat session natin kung ano mang context yung meron po kayo sa inyong mga eskwelahan o opisina sa Department of Education. And of course, we also acknowledge our viewers outside the Department of Education. Meron tayong mga from private institutions who are watching us, parents na bagamat hindi sila magkakaroon ng certificates, no, ay nandyan pa rin, nakikinig sila, nag-aaral at natututo every week at na mayroon pa rin mga may usefulness pa rin para sa kanila yung mga pinag-uusapan natin. And of course, we also extend our greetings and our prayers na rin para sa ating mga kasamahan sa Department of Education and even outside the Department of Education who have been recently affected by the typhoon. By this time, we understand na hindi nyo kami napapanood sa mga oras na ito, but maybe weeks or months from now, you will be watching this video from the recording na accessible sa ating Professional Development Learning Management System. So we would like you to know na even in these episodes po na hindi namin kayo nakasama, we still remembered you and we still hoped and prayed for your safety, for your recovery ng inyong lugar kung nasan man kayo na na-affect ng typhoons. And let's continue to stay alert at maghanda, no? Kasi there has been a forecast already of the upcoming typhoon, Typhoon Ulysses, na it might go through the same track na dinaanan ng previous typhoon. So let's continue to be prepared, to pray for each other, to send support where we can. For the meantime, let's spend the next 2 hours talking about a very interesting topic, then very practical topic. And I think this will answer one of the most frequently asked questions in the past weeks sa ating mga previous episodes. But before we continue, allow me to just again recognize the composer and the performer behind the song na pine-play natin at the beginning of every episode. Ang okay talaga sa DepEd na kinompose ng ating mga kasama sa Department of Education, our health personnel and teaching personnel from Mindanao po sila, si Ma'am Luz Biminda, Ikawalo, Ma'am Everdina Hiltendes, and Ma'am Elaine Joy Ikawalo. Of course, the music was arranged by Ma'am Elaine Joy Ikawalo at ang magandang boses na naririnig ninyo na nakaka-LSS sa inyo every Tuesday ay boses ni Ma'am Richelyn Mayoral who performed the song for us sa Oplan Kalusugan sa Department of Education. Ang Oplan Kalusugan sa Department of Education ay ang flagship initiative ng current administration through the leadership of Secretary Leonor Magtolis Briones and our Undersecretary for Administration, Yusek Alain Pascua. Pinag-converge, pinagsama-sama, tinutulungang mapalakas ang bawat programa na may kinalaman sa school health and nutrition. At isa na nga dyan, ang ating National Drug Education Program, kasama ang Adolescent Reproductive Health, ang School Mental Health, ang WASH in Schools, ang school-based feeding program at ang medical, dental, and nursing services. So pagdating sa inyong mga eskwelahan, sa ating mga schools sa DepEd, itong mga programang ito ay nagiging mga activities na ginagawa natin. Pero at the central office level, ito ay iba-ibang mga polisiya, pero sa pamamagitan ng Oplan Kalusugan sa Department of Education na pagtatahi-tahi sila bilang mga related programs, activities, and services for our learners. So, ngayon, katulad ng ating sinabi kanina, tayo ay nasa episode 9 na. Kung babalikan ninyo yung ating mga previous episodes, meron tayong pinapakita at the start of every session, no, na listahan ng mga topics with the pictures of our resource persons. Kung ito ay parang checklist, kumbaga, makukumpleto na natin ang ating 10 episodes for this year's run of the National Drug Education Program webinar series. Mamaya ipapakilala pa natin kung sino yung resource person natin and yung topic na pag-uusapan natin. Pero siguro bago tayo mag-officially start ng ating session, meron lang akong tanong na gustong i-post sa inyo, no? Let me ask you this question. What's the most important lesson you've learned so far from the past 8 episodes? Naka-8 episodes na po tayo. Ano po yung pinaka-importanteng lesson na nakuha ninyo mula sa 8 episodes na pinagdaanan natin? Alam nyo po, the past week, kasi every week meron po tayong statistics, no, kung ilan ang viewers, kung ilan ang kumuha ng certificates. For last year, no, for last week, no, we had almost or more or less 15,000 people, personnel inside DepEd, and maybe some of them are private school teachers who access the Professional Development Learning Management System and got their certificates of attendance. For last week's episode lang yan, no? So bukod sa certificate, ano pa po yung lesson na nakuha ninyo? At talagang tumatak sa inyong puso at sa inyong isipan for the past weeks, can you comment this on the comment section para makita lang makita lang din ng ating resource person na ito na pala yung mga baon-baong lessons ng mga viewers natin this afternoon na kanyang dadagdagan at lalo pa niyang i-strengthen. So can you go to your comment? Can you go to the comment section? Sabi dito, sobrang bilis kasi ng dating. No? Someone said some substance use can be controlled. Only that it will take a village. Sabi ni Ma'am Rosebel Galvez. Yes, ang ganda, no? Consistent in every episode. Ang ating mga efforts on substance use prevention is always in the context of positive school climate, of positive relationships based on trust, on transparency, on truth, on accurate information. So maganda yung mga magandang takeaway yan. It can be controlled but in the context of a village. I-type niyo pa po sa comment section ano-ano ang inyong mga lessons na isa lang pala, pinaka-importanteng lesson na nakuha ninyo in the past 8 episodes. Sabi ni Ma'am Janet Figueroa Fahura, learn to listen to anyone all the time. I think this is very remarkable kasi we have been emphasizing about breaking the stigma on substance use, and even persons who use drugs are people worth listening to in the creation of policies, in drafting programs, in providing interventions. No, isa yun sa mga napulot ko the past weeks na ang ganda ng mga quotes na pinakita ni Dr. Fuderanan na yung what people who use drugs say. And in our context, maybe sa DepEd, we listen to our learners. Kasi in the first place, every policy that we write affects our learners. So yeah, learn to listen to anyone all the time. Sabi ni Ma'am Janet Figueroa. Ito, sabi ni Ma'am Lendel May Layson Bekong, sabi niya that schools play a great role in educating the youth, especially on the negative impacts of drug education to their lives. See, nakikita natin po yung role natin sa DepEd na very critical. Imagine the formative years of every Filipino, yung very critical age na meron sila. That's the teenage years until around their 18 to 25. Significant portion of that lifespan, no? Nasa schools natin, nasa DepEd, itong mga learners na to. So imagine what we can do. Lots of lessons pa po yung nakikita natin dito. Ma'am Marilu Sariga, sabi niya, parents' role. At in-reinforce din ni Ma'am Jenny Fedibal, sabi niya, parents play a big role in molding their children's behavior and their future. At sabi nga natin sa first episode, no, next to the home lang ang school when it comes to positive relationships and socialization. Ayan, keep your comments coming. We're excited to go back to these comments and balikan natin ang mga lessons na nakuha ninyo from the past 8 episodes. May 2 episodes pa, today and next week. We hope na ma-reinforce palalo kung ano man yung mga lesson na napupulot natin at nakukuha natin dito sa ating NDEP webinar series. Alright, so let's officially start this afternoon like we do every week. We open every episode with a message from our key partner in this webinar series, one of our key partners, the Dangerous Drug Sport. As we emphasize, nothing that we do in DepEd related to drug education and drug prevention ay ang ginagawa natin without the consultation with and guidance of the agency that is mandated to work on drug prevention and drug education, and that is the Dangerous Drug Sport. Every sinasamahan tayo live ni Yusek Saavedra, the Executive Director of Dangerous Drug Sport, to give us his message, contextualizing our episode for the day in the overall directions of the Philippine government when it comes to dangerous drugs and drug prevention. Pero for today, he expressed that he could not join us, but he recorded his message for us para mapakinggan pa rin natin nasan ba pumapasok ang ating episode for today in the overall government response. So let's watch the video prepared to us by the Dangerous Drug Sport for the message of our Undersecretary Earl P. Saavedra.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Magkakasama na naman tayo para sa weekly webinar series ng NDEP ngayong linggo. pagbabalanse ay isang hakbang na pamilyar tayo lalo na sa mga pinagdadaanan natin sa araw-araw na buhay. Ganito rin ang halaga ng pagbabalanse na ginagawa ng mga ahensya sa pagpapatupad ng mga adhikain laban sa iligal na droga. Isa sa mga mandato ng Dangerous Drugs Board ay ang pagpapatupad ng Balanced National Drug Control Policy. Habang pinapaigting ang law enforcement efforts, ang demand reduction side ng ating kampanya ay sabay na isinusulong. Dito natin naiintindihan na ang mga problema sa iligal na droga ay hindi lamang isyung pangseguridad, kundi ito rin ay isang isyung pangkalusugan. Ihahambing ko sa usaping healthy lifestyle and discipline ang topic natin sa webinar ngayong Martes, sapagkat health and well-being ang focus ng diskusyon. Naalala ko na ang disiplina ay nagsisimula sa sarili, ganon din ang pagpapahalaga sa sarili na dapat bawat individual ay hindi winawalang bahala. Ibabahagi ko lang sa inyo ang isang testimonya na narinig ko mismo sa isang tao na nalulong iligal na droga. Sabi niya, mabilis pumasok sa bisyo, ngunit napakahirap makawala. Kung may pagkakataon lang, hindi na ako dapat pumasok pa sa problemang iyan. Ang maiksi ngunit makabuluhang testimonya na ito ang nagpapatunay that we have a choice to be drug-free and using drugs creates more problems and greater complications. Magandang pagtuunan ng pansin ang root cause of one person's drug use. In other words, ano marahil ang mga naging sanhi ng paggamit ng ipinagbabawal na droga? Dahil ba sa problema? Dahil ba sa kahirapan? Dahil ba sa impluensya? Lahat ng ito ay mayroong instant na kasagutan. Ano yon? Hindi droga ang solusyon. Ulitin ko po, hindi droga ang solusyon. Kaya sa tulong ng Department of Education at iba pang mga kinauukulan, ang pinalakas na advokasya sa drug abuse prevention ay nilalaman natin ng mga hakbang tulad ng importance of diversion activities, teachings on leadership and discipline, pagpapahalaga sa sarili at pangangatawan, youth and sports development. Sapagkat proven and tested ang mga mekanismo na ito upang mailayo ang ating mga kabataan ang mga nangungunang biktima sa epekto ng paggamit ng ipinagbabawal na ito. Hangat ang pamahalaan natin na patuloy na panindigan ang mga adhikain ng drug-free communities by 2022. Gamitin po ninyo ang pagkakataon sa bawat webinar natin na maging parte ng sektor na nangangakong sugpuin ang salot na dulot ng iligal na droga. Patuloy po nating hangarin ang mabuting kalusugan ng lahat sa pamamagitan ng ibayong pag-iingat. Magandang hapon po ulit.
Ayan, yan po ang mensahe ng ating Undersecretary Earl Saavedra from the Dangerous Drugs Board. From my end, parang nagkaroon ng konting internet connection issue yung pag-play natin ng video. Pero I would like to highlight a few of the statements that he said. In-emphasize po ni Yusek Earl yung role natin sa Department of Education in educating our young people in developing leadership and life skills, in conducting diversion activities and other formative activities with the intention of helping our learners develop the skills, possessing the knowledge that will allow them to make informed choices about their lives and perhaps pursue a healthy lifestyle and a drug-free lifestyle. Yun yung, I think those are some of the bits of statements na nakuha ko from his statement. Kayo po, kumusta from your end, yung video? What we will do is upload this video in the in the Professional Development Learning Management System of DepEd para po kapag inyo na pong kailangang balikan ang episode natin, mas accurate at mas maganda po yung video na mapapakinggan ninyo sa message ni Yusek Earl. Thank you very much po to our Dangerous Drugs Board for sharing that message. Ngayon naman po ay ating i-share. Every week, no, ginagawa din natin to that we share a message of our chief naman from the Bureau of Learner Support Services School Health Division, Dr. Maria Corazon Dumlao. So kung si Yusek Earl, kino-contextualize na yung episode natin sa overall government drug prevention initiatives, ang ginagawa naman ni Dr. Dumlao is i-contextualize na yung ating episode sa context ng Department of Education, sa ating schools as teachers, as NDEP coordinators. And para magbigay ng message sa atin, alam nyo si Dr. Dumlao right now, together with Yusek Alain and the rest of his strand, ay nasa Bicol to do monitoring and checking on the implementation of our programs, especially in the context of the new normal. Scheduled na to even before the typhoon came, but they also are taking the opportunity now para they're also taking the opportunity now para i-check yung mga schools and perhaps tingnan din kung ano yung mga na-affect ng typhoon. So because we will not have personally, we will not have Dr. Dumlao online live today. Before she left last night, they left at 11 p.m. No? And they headed to Bicol. She recorded her message for us to share with us kung ano man yung context ng ating episode for today sa overall okay sa DepEd direction and the direction of our school health and nutrition programs. Let's listen and watch to this, and let's watch this video message of Dr. Dumlao.
Magandang hapon muli sa ating mga kasamang tumututok sa atin bawat Martes. And nasa 9th episode or session na tayo ng ating webinar series. Thank you very much for staying tuned up to now, and we are excited to have all of you until the last topic of these webinars. Alam niyo po, napaka-insightful ng topic natin last week dahil pinag-usapan natin ang papel nating mga magulang sa substance use prevention. Napaka-positive ang feedback na nakuha natin sa ating mga participants para sa ating resource person and dear partner from the Dangerous Drugs Board, si Assistant Secretary Leng Matibag. Alam ko po na marami sa atin ang talagang nakarelate sa topic na yon dahil lahat naman tayo ay naghahangad na maging mabuting magulang para sa ating mga anak. Iba-ibang aspeto ang tinitignan natin linggo-linggo kung mapapansin po ninyo. And nawa, habang gino-go through natin ang bawat session ay nabubuo naman ang ating pangunawa sa substance use prevention mula sa iba't ibang anggulo at nakikita rin natin ang iba't ibang papel na maaari nating gampanan para makabahagi nito. Today is another important topic, especially for us who consider ourselves advocates of substance use prevention. And bilang bahagi ng DepEd workforce in whatever capacity we are in, kayo man ay teacher, guidance counselor, health personnel, or universal prevention curricula trainer, lahat tayo ay geared toward a common goal to ensure that our learners grow in a healthy school environment, which among others is drug-free. Para matupad ito, tayong ma-inculcate sa ating mga learners ang kahalagahan ng pagiging healthy at pagiging drug-free. And sa ating previous episode, napag-usapan natin how schools use various methods to help prevent substance abuse among learners. Kahit sa ating National Drug Education Program na pinapaliwanag sa atin ni Ma'am Girlie bawat Martes, nakita natin na itong mga methods na to can be through formal teaching and co-curricular activities that aim to develop and strengthen life skills among our learners. Ngayong pandemic, our learners may experience challenges in dealing with this new normal. Nandiyan ang anxiety, fear, as well as feelings of being isolated. Napasadahan din natin sa previous discussions natin na these emotions can lead learners to resort to unhealthy and risky behaviors such as smoking, drinking, and using illicit drugs. Kaya relevant and very practical ang topic natin ngayon. We will be talking about cultivating health and well-being lessons to guide our teachers and other drug prevention advocates in helping our students to become resilient and more responsible by keeping themselves healthy and drug-free. Nagpapasalamat tayo na muli tayong sasamahan ng isa na naman nating colleague from the ASEAN Training Center for Preventive Drug Education or ATCPDE para ma-share ang kanyang expertise sa paksang ito. And with the rest of the ATCPDE, our resource person has been very supportive of DepEd advocacies in substance use prevention. Ipapakilala siya sa atin mamaya ni Ma'am Girlie. For now, I invite all of you to sit back, relax, and enjoy learning in this afternoon session. Muli, magandang hapon sa inyong lahat.
And that's the message of our Chief of the Bureau of Learner Support Services School Health Division, Dr. Maria Corazon Dumlao. And katulad ng sinabi ni Dr. Dumlao, that's what we will be looking forward to in today's episode. Paano natin practically magagawa ang mga lessons about health and wellness na nasa konteksto ng drug education. Excited na kayo? Siyempre, inunahan ko na how you would feel, no? Pero ako, excited ako kasi this is one of the frequently asked questions in the past episodes. How do you teach your learners about drugs, about drug education? And this is basically it. The entire session will be devoted to answering that question. How do you teach learners about wellness and about health in the context of drug education? Pero bago natin ipakilala ang ating resource person, katulad din ng ginagawa natin every week, we talk about different drug education efforts of the Department of Education, especially of the Bureau of Learner Support Services School Health Division, pagdating sa drug education. So, in the past weeks, natapos na natin yung iba-ibang components and activities under the National Drug Education Program. If you're only watching now, make sure you go back to our recordings para makumpleto ninyo ng buo and ma-appreciate natin ng buo yung picture, yung program about yung National Drug Education Program. But for today, our National Drug Education Program Coordinator, Ma'am Girlie Azurin, will be sharing to us yung iba pang activities na nag-participate ang School Health Division na related sa Drug Education Program. Makikita natin later na iba-ibang offices, iba-ibang initiatives din ang nag-exist in the Department of Education outside the School Health Division. So we have Ma'am Girlie to share with us this afternoon ang ating National Drug Education initiatives. Hindi na pala ito NDEP, no, Ma'am Girlie?
Thank you, Gian. Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat. Tama ka, Gian, ano? Sa mga previous episodes po ng NDEP Webinar, nag-share po kami ng activities na na-conduct ng School Health Division. This episode, we will share some of the preventive drug education activities of the Department of Education na taga-School Health Division naman po ang nag-participate. Next, please. So, for this NDEP presentation, the title is The Participation of the BLSS School Health Division in the Drug Prevention Activities of DepEd. Next, please. Okay, naging part po ang School Health Division sa Strategic Planning on Preventive Drug Education, led by OSEC Special Concerns Unit. It was a 2-day strat plan po yan, held last January 17 to 18, 2017 at the Teachers Camp, Baguio City. Dito po nakasama namin yung team ng OSEC SCU, headed by Yusek Nepo Malaluan, and other offices din po like the legal division po ng DepEd and also the Department of Health National Reference Laboratory. Dito po na plano yung operationalization ng preventive drug education of DepEd such as the training of PDE and drug testing activity. Next, please. After po ng strat plan, nagkaroon na po ng 8 clusters of PDE orientation training. Of course, led pa rin po yan or ng OSEC. At ginawa po yan last March to May 2017 at participated by our schools, division superintendents, principals, medical officers, nurses, and teachers. At marami pong na-discuss dito, no? Na-explain po dito ang preventive drug education. May mga UPC topics din po, such as medical aspects as well as the UNODC standards. Kasama po natin ang legal division, kaya na-explain din po ang legal aspects ng PDE. At ang discussion naman po ng Department of Health ay ang RDT workflow and also the specimen collection para maging authorized specimen collectors na rin po at the same time yung mga naging participants natin. Dito po sa training na ito, nag-workshop po ng deployment plan ng RDT on their respective areas. Next, please. Next. Okay po. Another training po ng preventive drug education. This time, Youth Formation Division naman po ang nag-lead dito sa training na ito. At ang naging participants po dito ay mga guidance counselors at mga principals. Dito po, maganda po itong naging training nito kasi mga evidence-based interventions po ang na-discuss dito. Kaya kasama natin ang ating mga global trainers na sila Professor Grace Pante at si Sir LJ Espeleta and other national trainers and guests from other offices. Next, please. Okay, after na po ng mga series of preventive drug education training, nagkaroon na po ng drug testing activity at nakasama po ang School Health Division sa deployment sa mga regions and divisions to help and monitor the drug testing activity of DepEd. So ito po yung mga schedule ng deployment ng RDT. Next, please. Next. Okay, ito po, additional schedules po ito ng deployment. Next. Next. Still, schedule po din ito ng deployment. Next, please. Okay, schedule pa rin po ito ng deployment. So, nationwide po yun, ang naging drug testing activity po natin. Next, please. Okay, next. Okay. So, ang nag-develop po ang DepEd through OSEC SCU ng Preventive Drug Education Resource Material in 2019. So, kasama po kami dyan sa pag-draft ng Preventive Drug Education Resource Material together with the DepEd writers from the different regions nationwide. And kasama din po ang other offices such as DDB, DOH, and ATCPDE represented by Professor Grace Pante. Next, please. Okay. Naging part din po ang School Health Division sa mga workshop ng Philippine Anti-Illegal Drugs Strategy. Kasama po kami sa nag-develop ng duties and responsibilities ng DepEd sa Philippine Anti-Illegal Drug Strategy at of course headed by Yusek Nepo Malaluan no naggawa po kami ng workshop na yon. At mostly nakasama kami sa workshop on ARMS, on PADS ARMS or the Agency Reporting and Monitoring System. So these are some of the dates na nag-participate po ang School Health Division sa workshop. Next. Naging part din po ang School Health Division sa development of the Unified Preventive Drug Education Framework. Ito po ay tulong-tulong ang lahat ng DepEd offices na po ito na concern sa preventive drug education dito sa policy ng Unified PDE Framework. So in 2019 din po naganap yung activity na yan. Okay? Okay, that's it. Yun po yung naging participation naman po ng School Health Division dito sa mga preventive drug education ng Department of Education. Okay, until next time po. Back to you, Gian. Salamat po.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Girly. Ayan, so sa ating mga viewers, nakita ninyo, hindi lang NDEP ang program ng DepEd or activities ng DepEd related to drug education. And privilege ang Bureau of Learner Support Services School Health Division to take part in other initiatives na sinimulan naman ng ibang mga offices related naman sa kani-kanilang mandate. Alam niyo, ang nakakatuwa po sa experience na ito of participating in these activities is that we get to champion. All right, nagkaroon tayo ng konting disconnection, no? What I was saying is, yung pong mga ating mga episodes natin ay based sa Universal Prevention Curriculum. In the same way, when we have opportunities, we promote these principles, especially yung angle on health, on well-being, on safety of our learners. And what we are trying to say by sharing these activities po sa inyo is, you can do the same. The concepts, the lessons about compassion, about doing evidence-based practice, and all these things that you're getting from this NDEP webinar series, we are excited kung paano nyo rin siya i-champion, i-apply sa inyo-inyong kanya-kanyang context, kung saan man kayo nagpa-participate, whether it's in your local governments, in your schools, in your offices. We're excited to know how you will use these lessons. All right. So I know, excited na kayo na makilala ang ating resource person. Pero bago yan, let me just remind you how to raise your questions, comments, and insights related to the discussion natin that is about to start in a few minutes. So bago ipakilala ang ating resource person, narito ang link where you will put your comments, questions, and insights. Huwag po sa comments section ilagay ang inyong comments, questions, and insights kasi po when you do that, baka po matabunan, hindi makita ng ating resource person. So what you will do instead is go to this link on the other side, go to this link that you can see on your screen, bit.ly/2020 NDEP Web Series Feedback. Choose the date today, and then write your question, comment there. And we will select questions kung hindi pa ma-address yan sa talk ng ating resource person. Stay until the end of the discussion dahil meron tayong Q&A. Babalikan natin ang inyong mga tanong. I know, excited na kayo to get to know our resource person at marinig siya. So tatawagin ko ulit ang ating NDEP coordinator, Ma'am Girly, to formally introduce our resource person for this afternoon. Ma'am Girly?
Okay, thank you again, Gian. Our speaker, Maria Cecilia V. Zamora, Teacher Ichi, as she fondly called by her colleagues and students, is an assistant professor at the University of the Philippines, Diliman College of Education. She graduated with a degree in Bachelor in Secondary Education and Master's in Education in Health Education from the University of the Philippines College of Education, and another master's degree in Special Education from the Philippine Normal University. Aside from teaching, she is also the former advisor of the UPSED Student Council, advisor of Pedagogia, former chair of Student Teaching Committee, presently serves as the Health Education Liaison Officer of the college, a Drug Education Committee member, and the Executive Secretary of the ASEAN Training Center for Preventive Drug Education, or ATCPDE, housed in the UP College of Education. Her passion in teaching is also translated into her involvement in research, IEC materials development, and various extension work, namely health advocacy,
Yes, I think we're having some connection issues. Ma'am Girly, you're back.
Yes?
Opo,
Yes.
you were cut dun sa part na binabanggit niyo po yung advocacy.
Okay. Okay. Her passion in teaching is translated into her involvement in research, IEC materials development, and various extension work, namely health advocacy, promotion of health education, advocacy for persons with disabilities, art for special children. Furthermore, she is an advocate in preventive drug education, health literacy, life skills training. To keep up with the recent developments in knowledge and skills pertaining to health, she recently trained in Gurong Pahinungod's psychosocial support and is now a PSV psychosocial support volunteer. Likewise, attended local and international online webinars. She's a firm believer of deeds, not words. She makes sure to balance work with spiritual reflection, joy in taking care of her pets, cooking, gardening, biking, walking, reading, listening to music, and watching movies and K-dramas. Likewise, constantly reminds her students, family, colleagues, and friends to value their health and well-being and emphasizes that health should come first in everything that they do. Colleagues, let us all welcome Professor Maria Cecilia V. Zamora.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, teachers, moms, and sirs. Thank you very much. Before I start, I'd like to thank Dr. Dumlao, Ma'am Gurley, Sir Gian, ATCPDE, my partner, Professor Francis Grace H. Ducapante, and my friends, my colleagues at the college. Wow, this is indeed an opportunity. Thank you very much. Yan, may iba naman makausap mga teachers, no? I like to share what I know and I can learn also from you. So let me start sharing my slide. Can you hear me po? Naririnig po ba ako? Okay lang po, Sir Gian?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, so I'll start sharing. Ayan. Can you see it already? Yeah. Nakikita na po ba? Alright, so for this afternoon, so I watched some of the episodes. I think episode 1, 2, and then I skipped because I was so busy. And then the third or fourth episode, and now I listened to Sir Gian's summary, and I think this is the practical side of everything that were discussed. No, ito na yung in action. How will we do it? Correct. We always, no, in school health program we partner with families, we partner with communities, we partner with the local government, no? Kasi ang problema sa droga hindi lang dapat talakayin sa eskwelahan, hindi dapat umpisahan sa pamilya, sa pamamahay. So let's start now. That's why it's cultivating, because we are preparing also the families. We're not only preparing the child or the learner. Once we prepare the child or learner in school, when he or she goes back to her family or at home, there's a disconnect somehow, ano? Kasi ito ang turo about drugs, iba ang nakikita ko sa bahay, iba ang nakikita ko sa community. Paano ko ito mariresolve? So that's why we need to start preparing. That's why cultivating, it's an analogy of planting. Since I'm into gardening, I thought of why not, no? When we care for plants, it's the same way as we care for pets and of course for each other. We start with the basic, the foundation, the family. But because we need the school, yes, to support everything that we teach our child, or pamangkin, or anyone in the family. So health and well-being lessons attuned to choosing to be drug-free. Okay, so let me just reiterate. I saw a message in the chat box. No, I think it's from Miss Azurin, or I just forgot her name. Sabi niya change your behavior, or you change your behavior by changing the aspects of your life. So I would just like to supplement that with, you also start to change your habits, you change your life. So habits in the context of drugs, no? Drug use. So it's long gone yung drug abuse, no? According to UNODC, it's drug use. We all use drugs, yes, in medication, but the question, socially acceptable drugs, yes, some of us use that, but how do we regulate? How do we regulate the use so as not to become to affect our health and well-being? So I read that by Stuyvesant 2017, and he proposed, when we cultivate for health and well-being, we should start from ourselves. No? Self-awareness. Gaano natin kakilala ang sarili natin? No, I remember that. Change your belief, change your behavior. That's the context of the previous webinar series. Now, my context is, let's be more specific. Let's put it into a context. You change your habits. No? Everything starts in the family. No? In the family. Kung ano yung nakikita ng bata, ginagaya niya. It's part of their developmental growth. No? We start the habit. Dapat hindi na magsimula ang pag-drug use, specifically illegal types of drugs, or even smoking or alcohol, or smoking cigarette or alcohol. Dapat hindi na masimulan pa, hindi maging habit ng bata yan pag lumalaki siya. Okay? And then he or she would live a better or a happier, healthy lives. All right. So let me just contextualize also. For the entire series, we're going to talk about, yes, it's correct. Sir Gian is correct and Dr. Dumlao is correct. We start teaching. But again, let me go back to what I said earlier. Yes, we teach in schools, but we also need to teach at home. No, may model dyan, which I will try to explain later on. So for this afternoon, let's zero in on how do we teach, what do we teach, and how do we teach. So here's the what. As parents, I know you are teachers, some of you are NDEP coordinators, and some of you are principals, administrators, but you are also a parent. No? Parent din kayo. Kung hindi kayo parent, kapatid, or ninang, ninong, na dapat acquainted tayo, knowledge. What is your knowledge about drugs or drug use? Kasi pag sinabing drugs, negative ka, ay, durog, ay, basag, ay, ganun. Hindi. Merong kagandahan ang drugs. Drugs are developed as medication. Only people, abused it, for several reasons. And they are translated to the factors, why people use drugs, But again, there are also researches that would state there are also non-users, and we should prepare them also. Dapat ma-sustain nila yung hindi nila pagiging drug user, Yung drug users na preventable in a sense, makokontrol siya, pero mas maganda yung bigyan din natin ng pansin yung mga non-drug users. Drug users, we also help them, by giving both the knowledge. And when we speak of knowledge, what are laging yung naririnig, evidence-based, that's correct, Lagi rin yung it's the acquisition of information. Factual dapat. Dapat nga may fact checker tayo. Ano na bang sinabi about drugs, Maraming terms, dapat din yung slang terms ng drugs, alam din natin lahat yan. How are drugs classified? Kasama sa knowledge. Each classification has a direct impact or effect on the body, not the body, buong katauhan niya, the well-being, Okay. We also teach, and develop attitudes. Ano ba tong attitudes? It's very personal, and it's affected by several factors. good attitude, bad attitude, appropriate, inappropriate. Saan ba siya nagsistem? From the knowledge that we get. Plus, the interplay with values. Again, values, these are the things that we hold dear, important to us. Sometimes it's been shaken by knowledge. It's influenced by knowledge. And values is influenced by, are influenced by attitude and so on. So, interplay yung tatlong to, the knowledge, attitudes, and values. If you have proper knowledge, it will, well, it's a process, ano, it may lead to a proper attitude. And then, if you have a proper good values instilled to you at an earlier age, it can affect your knowledge and attitude and hence your behavior. No? We use life skills to instill, to develop this, no? To relearn and unlearn. No? Ito yung magsasustain. Ito kasi life skills are approaches, no? For us to survive and thrive. No? All right, next. Of course, you reinforce good behavior. No? Reinforce, I know natin, we all know that in psychology, no? By Skinner, no? We reinforce good behavior, no? Anong gagawin natin sa bad behavior? Long gone na yung punishment, ano? We will redirect that bad behavior into good ones by, again, changing the knowledge, no? Changing the attitudes, values, and of course, we use life skills to do that. No? Hindi sila stand alone. No? Lahat sila, magkaka-align sila. Again, because health beliefs, no, behavior yan eh. Talagang kahit anong gusto, lahat sinasabi na sa school about drugs and all. Sa values, and yet may nagda-drugs pa rin, nagda-drug use, may nagsusmoke, may umiinom ng alak. No? Marami multifactorial yan, which I think has been discussed, but I will also discuss it in a different light. And of course, once we fix this, no, na align natin into an appropriate behavior, it will translate into a positive health behavior. Hindi na siya masishake. Sometimes, nasishake itong values eh, kasi maraming social determinants that will shake them. It's either you have an increase in risk factors, the things that harm you, yun ang mas gusto nyo, no? Or at decrease ng positive ng factors na yan, ano? So it's either you increase the protective factors or decrease the risk factors for you to have a positive health behavior. How we'll do that, ano, yung increase in positive, decrease in negative, by giving them sufficient knowledge, attitude, values, and supported by life skills to reinforce their behavior and action. And we, if you have your positive health behavior, you can prevent health problems. No? It's not easy. Again, we need collaboration, a holistic approach. All right. So for our aims for today, to present the facts about drug use among the youth and explain its implications. Of course, to provide everyone with relevant knowledge and practical skills in cultivating health and well-being for preventive drug education among the youth. Why the youth? They're so vulnerable. Kasi nga sabi natin, let's start them young. No? Yun ang sa spectrum natin, simulan natin sa bahay. Supplemented by the school, the NDEP, the teachers, MAPE. Then kung ano yung supported by laws, no? Policies in the community and by the government. No? Okay, for you, no, that's our aim. What do you gain from this, no? In a 1-hour webinar series, no? To gain understanding. You have also an understanding, but for some who wants to relearn, you are very welcome, no? To gain understanding and appreciation of the nature, characteristics, theory, goals, and practices in cultivating health and well-being. Of course, to incorporate learner-centered and responsive instruction. Why responsive, no? Due to the times. Again, health is very dynamic. It's ever-changing. No? Because of COVID-19, we don't only zero in COVID-19. There are other, it affects the other parts of health and well-being. No? Mamaya, we will get into that. Toward development of health and well-being, knowledge, attitude, skills, and preventive drug education. So ang ano natin talaga, we emphasize preventive. So start them young, educate the parents, no? Partners tayo, lalo na ngayong remote learning. Kaakibat natin ang magulang, dapat alagaan din natin sila. No? Para alagaan din nila ng mabuti ang kanilang anak. In terms of preventive drug education. Okay, what are the essential questions that we like to answer? What is health and well-being, preventive drug education and drug use? Why is there a need to cultivate health and well-being? Who are involved in the cultivation of health and well-being? What are the health concepts and skills to teach in cultivating a drug-free behavior? Behavior, no? Kasi naintindihan natin ang behavior, an action, no? Among the youth. Why? Despite of the knowledge, despite of the laws, the policies, why are they using drugs? No? And then how can a drug-free behavior be cultivated among the youth? So that's a problem. But still, we can help them. No? One thing that I learned in the Pahinungod, no, it's the concept of, or the approach of invitational. We use invitational approach, meaning, would you like to try using this intervention? Would you like, it's, inimbitahan natin, we do not force and we give options. No? Nasa kanila yun eh. Nasa kanila pa rin yun. But because of the developmental ages and across characteristics, parents talaga ang malaking role, as Dr. Mama Tibag explained in the previous webinar. So those are the essential questions that I hopefully will answer, and we will answer together. And then, of course, let's contextualize. What about health and well-being, cultivating drug prevention, lessons? So these are the terms that we need to find out. No? Health, well-being, development characteristics. They are linked with each other. No? Health, 8 components. Well-being, it's what you do. If your health components, later on, I'll show you an illustration, are well cared of, your well-being is positive. You smile, no? You are resilient, no? Yun yung well-being, composition, no? Ito yung ano pakiramdam mo, no? Pag masama ang pakiramdam ng health, how is your health well-being? Apektado rin siya. And then how does developmental characteristics come into place? We need them, no? Children have characteristics, no? And we base our lessons, we base our strategies, we base our concepts, core messages to their developmental characteristics. Kaya ba nila to? Hindi ba nila to kaya? Anong gagawin ko pag hindi kaya? Anong gagawin ko para mas maintindihan nila? So we base it everything dun sa kakayanan nila. Physical, emotional, cognitive, mental, vocational. Okay? So we have to look into that. Of course, everyone has health-seeking behaviors. What are these? These are the activities or approaches that you do to protect your health. No? Contextualize natin sa COVID. Ano yung gagawin ko pag sana hindi magka-COVID, or unfortunately, nahawaan ka, what will you do? Lalapit ka sa doktor. Ano yung gagawin mo para hindi ka rin mahawaan? But in the context of there's a drinker, ayokong uminom, ayokong manigarilyo, anong gagawin ko? Lalapit ka. You will consult someone. You seek help, no, to protect your health. That is what we mean by health-seeking behaviors, no? And of course, risk-taking behaviors. it is directly aligned with developmental characteristics. No? At this age, ang adolescents, ako, risk-taker yan. No amount of what knowledge, attitude, values, they are shaken because of peer pressure, because of the environment. So they risk a lot later on. No? There are the top 6. We'll discuss that. I will just give you a gist. No? Top 6. Ano kaya yung top 6 risk-taking behaviors across ages? But as seen mainly on adolescents. Of course, how it's also aligned, everything is aligned. Inaaral ngayon ng health behavior theory yan. No? Bakit kaya? Ano yung factors that affect his behavior, his health and well-being? Why does he behave? Why does that person seek health? No? Why does he risk his health? No? Of course, it's aligned to drug use. Itong lahat ng ito, bakit siya nagda-drugs in a different aspect ng smoking, drinking. Even now, prescription drugs are used also, no? Ano kaya yon? Of course, everything will come into play, or everything will not necessarily resolved, be improved by preventive drug education. You see the terms there are 3: preventive, stop from happening, dapat hindi na mag-drug use, manigarilyo, dapat hindi maumpisahan yan. Education, that's the intervention. No? How do we do that? Of course, educating, again, let me reiterate, the parents, the teachers, the community. No? Lahat tayo sama-sama. Tama yung sinabi ni Sir Gian, it takes a village talaga. By what's in the preventive drug education, the protective factors. We educate, we try to increase the protective factors. What are these protective factors? Strong family bond, strong value system, support system, good physical health, mental health. We establish that through proper nutrition, sleep, kailangan natin yan. Exercise also. No? Kasi mamaya, yung mga rason, alam natin lahat, bakit nagda-drug use, bakit ganyan? Kasi na-overpower ng risk-taking behavior, na-overpower ng risk factors over the protective one. So when we educate, when we teach knowledge, when we change attitude, when we instill good behavior, you increase more of these factors and lesser of the risk factors. And of course, how will we do that? So risk assessment in your own homes. No? You identify people. Ay, siya. Kung wala sa pamilya nyo, mga kaibigan ng anak nyo, o anak, sino bang dyan? Sinong umiinom, sinong naninigarilyo? Sa bahay nyo ba? So it's both psychosocial, social aspect, person, people, who are taking who are using drugs for different purposes. And again, you look into the environment sa bahay, no? Ay, pinaninigarilyo sa bahay. So automatic ba may maninigarilyo din yung bata? There's a chance, yes, but there's always a chance na yung bata kahit nakikita niya naninigarilyo ang nanay, ang tatay, ang kuya, ang ate, pero siya hindi. Yun din dapat ang pangalagaan din natin. As we help brother, family who's using drugs, paano naman siya? Na kahit maliit na porsyento lang, dapat din siyang i-protect. I-protect through preventive drug education, through protective factors, and the person will change yung behavior niya. So that is risk assessment. You're identifying harmful, unhealthy situations in school, in the home, in the community. You assess, ba't dito sino ganyan? Then you tap. All right? Life skills is directly related to preventive drug education. Also, all of this, we use life skills. They are approaches, for people to survive. And of course, this one is new to me. It's nudge theory, which I later on, ang gandang tandem ng health behavior and nudge theory. Iba na yung approach natin. When we nudge, di ba pag nudge, parang ginano mo lang, uy, kamusta? It's based on that, that behavior or action. We just give options, no? See, later on, I'll discuss on that. Options ito, without policing, without, hey, do this, do that, walang directive. Very subtle approach. Positive ang approach, mapag-iisip mo. Rather than saying, don't do this, don't do that. No, you let that person think, ay, oo nga, pag ginawa ko to, ito mangyayari sa akin. So you just nudge a bit, no? Uy, ganun. By giving options. Alright, so all of this, we use this in cultivating health and well-being. Alright, so this is health. Briefly lang, we have this in all of us. Intellectual. Ngayong COVID, maraming dapat pagkaabalahan. So we nurture our mind, no? Physical, we take care of our bodies by good nutrition, sleep, of course being drug-free, yan, exercise, hydration, importante yan. Social culture, how do we, hindi na nga social distancing, we need socialization even if we only meet in the internet. Kamustahan? Kami ni Teacher Grace, when we do our classes, we always start, kamusta po kayo? And then there are a lot of ways to ask someone or your students, your friends, your family, kamusta ka? Ang daming techniques, no? Malaki, powerful yung nagkamustahan eh. Powerful yun. Kahit ang hirap nga ngayon sa online remote, we don't see our students. We give them safe place. Kung ayaw nila mag-on ng video, it's fine. At least may mga apps ang ibang learning system. Magtaas ka ng kamay, mag-clap ka. At least may reaction. No? Environmental, ngayon, lalo na ngayon COVID, we're locked up in our own homes. So how do we create safe places at home? No? For us to be more functioning, no? Productive. So dito yung vis-a-vis ng self-isolation eh. Diba? Kasama rin yun sa mga factors bakit kaya the drug use. Of course, occupational, no? We contribute, we participate, no? Kasi yung mga taong, I'm not saying all, in the studies that I've read, people that I know of, lalo na ngayon pag walang trabaho, nagre-resort sa ibang bagay, crimes, no? And spiritual, we need this. Ngayon may faith-based prevention, Kasi sa ATCPDE, namin, iniisip namin, ano pa yung iba't ibang paraan ng intervention, ibang paraan. May faith-based, spirituality, school-based, media-based, work-based, community-based learning, and family-based, no? And of course, emotional. It's valid to feel negative emotions. Okay, you feel that, sige, ramdamin mo, but do not dwell in it too much. Dapat you rise above. Yun ang natutunan namin sa panghinungod. Tama yan, valid yan. Pero you can, no? You can overcome that. It's your choice, no? Laging ang invitational. Kasi ang tao lang mismo ang makakapagbago sa sarili niya. Iga-guide lang siya, very invitational. Magbibigay lang kayo ng strategies na siya rin mismo magre-resolba. So, ganun ang approach natin sa drug use, Yun. Holistic, plus nudge theory, planned behavior theory, and of course, the health. Alam natin, when we use drug, everything is affected. Lalo na kapag mas bata siya. Naapektuhan ng utak. No? Kasi I've read sa sa psych, no? May yung neuroplasticity, yung kakayahan ng brain natin to overcome. Kaya niya mag-heal, lalo na pagbata, patanda, No? Lalo na, syempre, nag-iiba ng brain cells at nag-iiba ng ano natin mag-isip na it's affected by the things that we do. Pero sayang yung neuroplasticity component, kakayahan ng utak natin na mag-heal. Paano kung bata pa lang siya, uminom na siya nag-alcohol na siya, nanigarilyo na siya, nagsawa siya ron, o next drug, psychoactive drug na siya. So, sirang-sira na yung brain niya. No? Alright. Of course, what is your health and how is your health? No? You always ask that to yourselves. When you talk to your child, kamusta na anak? O, kamusta na kaibigan? How is your body? How is your mind? So, I think I've discussed that earlier. So, kakamusta in cultivating health and well-being, yung self-awareness, no? Yung self-regulation. Hindi naman masama kumain. I-regulate mo lang yung amount. Ang alcohol, it's accepted, social acceptable drug. No? But regulate your intake. Ang smoking talagang no yan. No talaga. Ang alcohol, sinasabi, excuse nga lang minsan yung social party, wala na yung hindi maganda ang party pag walang inuman, pwede pa rin maging drugs, party na maganda kahit walang drugs, walang alcohol or beer. No? So always keep in check. How is your health? If I start smoking early, what will become of my health? Hindi lang isa, titingnan mo yung kabuuan niya. Katawan ko, ano mangyayari sa utak ko, maapektuhan. Ang kaalaman ko and so on ng tao, lahat, trabaho ko apektado. Papasok din yung dyan, policies. Bawal talaga. What will it, how will it affect the environment? Yung financial mo, imbis na yan, sinave mo, managing resources. Yung pambili mo ng alcohol, sigarilyo, sayang. Yung spiritual mo, wasak. Spirituality. Just because you started, just because of one puff, one drink, one shot, and nagustuhan mo, babalikan mo yun. Babalik-balikan mo yun. Alright? So, in cultivating, ito yung i-protect natin. Kaya nga, there's protective factors. You need to prepare people to increase protective factors. Right. Okay, well-being, you see there the different definitions, no? It's the quality of life. If we link that to health, yung nakita nyo kanina, lahat dapat yun in good condition for you to have a nice well-being, a happy life. It's connected. If one is not so good, your well-being is poor. All right? It's a state of the holistic health. Okay. If you like to take a short quiz, there's the link there. Ito maganda kasi pag health and wellness, well-being. It's a nice, actually try this quiz. Ang ganda rin yung lumabas. Sabi ko, nako, ano kaya ang buhay ko ngayon? Ang aking kalusugan. So I took, ito, let's be honest here. No? You see there, it's parang may scale siya, no? Disagree, then you put just, if you want to try, it's actually fun and very interesting, no? Malalaman niyo yung result. I know, it's just a preview, no? Pero when we cultivate our health, lagi nga, gusto i-contextualize natin sa magulang, sa family. Tinatanong niyo ba to sa isa't isa? You take a quiz. Kasi tayo more of physical manifestation, eh. Sabi natin sa health, okay, ang physical manifestation, apektado rin yung iba, no? So this one, holistic approach. And then towards the end of the quiz, I think mga 15-item quiz ito, you'll find the result. Evidence-based ba yan? Sasabihin nyo, it was developed by a psychologist, so it must be, no? Pero wala pang study. I have not seen any study about this. Magandang i-research to, no? Lalo na sa pandemya ngayon. So, ayan lang siya. So, meron siyang snippets, components of different yung health natin and well-being. Okay, so in summary of the health and well-being. Health and well-being as being the result of a combination of physical, social, intellectual, and emotional factors affected by your behavior, the knowledge, attitude, and values. All right. So let's take a look. So scenario awareness about drug use, but it's affected. You are more prone to drug use when you're physically inactive, no? Kasi gusto mong medyo maging alive, maging active. Ay, ano na lang ako, manigarilyo, stimulant naman siya. No? Eh, may alternative dyan, sana. Mag-exercise ka na lang, di ba? Okay. Oh, have longer screen time. Paano yung drug use niyan? Siyempre, may kasamang katabing beer. Pag ano yan, screen time, mag-aaral ba? O kaya kape. Yun na lang kape, no? Drug use din yan. It has caffeine. It has drugs. Ang drugs, chemical substances that alter your health. Kasama siya sa kape. No? Ako, I've never tried. O once lang. Ako, sorry, Teacher Grace. I tried. I did not sleep at all. Yun, kasi I've never drunk coffee. The first time I drank, yun ang effect sa akin. Para akong zombie. Hindi ako makatulog, so gawa ko ng gawa. Tapos, yun ang masama, no? Pagod na pagod ka. Pilit mong matutulog kasi nga, na ano na yung brain mo, na yung coffee, it's in the bloodstream, no? And it circulates around the body. So, apektado ko. One, hindi naman cup, mug, hindi ganun eh. 1 cup. Hindi na ako nakatulog. No? Kasama rin yun sa irregular sleep. Just imagine, ano? Sana pala, ginawa ko na lang, nagtatakbo muna ako bago pinagod ang sarili. Tinurn off ang computer. No? Dim light, matulog ka. So pag hindi ka gumalaw, lagi ka nakaupo, irregular ang sleep mo, at depende rin sa kinakain mo, you gain weight. And how does drug use come into play? You take pills. No? Ito na yung prescription drugs. So we don't limit drug use to smoking, cigarette, and alcohol. Pwede rin sa prescriptive drugs or OTC, over-the-counter drugs, or illicit, no? Illicit drugs, psychoactive drugs. But imbis na, ito kasi lahat yan, no? It affects your weight. So how will you counter? Ayaw mong gumalaw. Gusto mo as longer, may ano na lang, yung mabilis. Inom na lang ako ng gantong kamod, pampapayat. No? Again, when you use drugs, no, in excess, no, it challenges your immune system. So you see the connection here from the first, less physical active, longer screen time, irregular sleep, weight gain. It challenges your immune system. And in these times, we never challenge. Please do not challenge your immune system. COVID is still here with us. And it thrives in a poor, damaged immune system. And that's the only way we survive this, if we put premium to our immune system. Okay? Threats to mental health. No? Lahat yun magkakaugnay. So there are drugs to keep us, no? May na-mention si Dr. Gomez and si Dr. Fonderanan, no? Ang ganda, doon sa talk nila, they never mention any drug use, ano? Kaya lang. I mean, drug use to counter your mental health. Kasi ngayon yun, we go back to the basic. Kung pwede lang hindi mo resetahan ng gamot, di ka re-resetahan ng gamot ng doktor. My cousin, no? He never prescribe drugs to us or medicine to us for pain. Sabi niya, mag-exercise ka lang. He always go for the natural. And there are other ways to counter mental problems, ano? Marami. Yung sinabi ng pahinungod, tracking your emotion. Ibig sabihin nun, ramdamin mo, aware ka sa mga nararamdaman mo. How do you feel? Ganyan. Tracking yun, emotion, ano? Resourcing or think of happy thoughts. Ano ba yung bagay na yung nangyari yan sa'yo, ano yung bagay na pabuti sa'yo? Happy thoughts ba? Picture ba? Napanood mo ba? Song ba siya? Balikan mo yun. So, natural siya. Hindi ka nag-drug use doon. No? And then, the third one is grounding. Feel your bodies. Kasi sometimes, kaya na lang nagda-drugs yung iba, para lang makaramdam daw. No? Gusto ko may maramdaman kasi wala akong maramdaman. So, the only time I can feel is when I'm high. Kaya lang, it's very inappropriate. Naku. Kaya nga, laging balikan, natural way. And of course, challenges within the families. May effect ang drug use dyan. Financial, no? Imbes na pangkain ng bilhin, yosi, ala, paano kakainin ng mga anak? No? And then of course, there's always a threat because of isolation, because of all of these things, to make you feel better, the unnatural way you resort to drug use. So, yan ang context, no? So, how will you cultivate health and well-being when this is the context of your environment, of the people around you? Marami pa, no? Yan. We 15 to 19, my goodness. Nagsisimula na. Prescription drug, what I mentioned. And then, ito, wow, vaping. Yan ang bago ngayon. Akala makakatulong daw ang vaping, hindi rin, ano? May smoke pa rin siya at grabe rin epekto niyan. So, if you're going to cultivate for health and well-being, ito yung sinasabi na nating knowledge. You must know all of these things. And then yung self-awareness, if we go back kanina, no? Change habits, change lifestyle. Yung sinabi nating risk assessment, naku, ginagawa ko to, paano ang anak ko? Ay, naku, yung tindahan namin doon maraming benta. Wala na nga sa TV, no? Wala na. Wala na, hindi nag-a-advertise. Pero may nakikita ka nagbebenta ng yosi. May bumibili. Yun yung supply and demand, no? Tatay mo, lahat ng kapatid mo. Kaya sige, okay, siguro masarap mag-yosi, mga kaibigan mo. Pero in our family, let me just share a personal story. My father, no, started smoking when he was 15. Only when he went to Manila to study. Tinanong ko siya, Daddy, bakit ka? Wala, gusto kong makalma, ganyan ang sarili ko, maano. Kaya mga kaibigan ko, he only stopped when he had a large heart. See? Tagal, no? Pero sa amin, magkakapatid, walang nagsigarilyo. Nakita, my father is a soft-spoken person. He never really, shouts at us. Hindi siya nagnanag. Yun yung nudge approach, no? Na swabe lang. Pero sa amin magkakapatid, walang nagsigarilyo. Uminom ng alak, paminsan-minsan, pero never walang naging lasinggero, hindi naging drunken behavior, no, wala. Yun din ang aalagaan natin. Kung ito, mga sad news, yan, isa pa to. Why? You're curious. So, related sa developmental characteristics. No? Yan. Sabi, parenting. I think if Mama Tibag mentioned this already, permissive sa bahay. Yung sinasabi natin, risk assessment. Sa tukador mo, wala, iba-ibang alak ang nandiyan. May beer sa freezer. Wala. No? Bumibili eh. Wala namang rules eh. So, the more, yan yung mga temptation. Ever present, wala naman, pwede naman kay tatay, pwede, bumibili si kuya. Di, sige, tikman ko nga, out of curiosity. Diba? Yun. Okay. Ito yung sad talaga. According to addictioncenter.com, 1 in 3 parents believe there is little they can do to prevent teen drug use, despite evidence that shows. In fact, may I share yung nabasa ko rin, 80% of adolescents rely or is influenced by the family. Yung desisyon manigarilyo, uminom ng alak, may impluensya yun sa kanila. Ay, yun na nga yung sinasabi natin kanina, ay, okay pala yun. Ako rin. Para in ako sa aking pamilya. Hindi na in sa kaibigan, in na sa pamilya. This is so sad. So, again, let me reiterate, cultivate niyo muna sa sarili niyo. Kung umiinom, kung nagsinigarilyo, tigilan na. Tigilan na para hindi magsimula ang anak, kapatid na manigarilyo o uminom ng alak. Kasi pag binago mo, mababago mo rin. Kasi makikita nila yung values ay at least tumigil si nanay, si tatay, si kuya, si ate. Mga kaibigan ko tumigil na. Titigil na rin ako. No? It's always a decision. Regardless of what we say, what we teach, how many interventions we give, it's really the decision of a person. Hinto na ako. Hinto ka lang pag meron ka ng malaking puso. Pag may cancer, hihinto. That's the health belief model. No? That it will explain that situation. Pag hindi, walang masamang epekto, tuloy-tuloy ka. Pag naramdaman mo na masamang epekto, doon ka titigil. That's health belief model. Then of course, may kinalaman din ng media. That's why we have this media-based learning, prevention. May kinalaman. According to Schwann, Pamier, Benegas, Aguirre, Simpson study 2013. Alright. But the good thing, ito yung sinasabi natin, let's present itong mga sad scenario. Ngayon, meron din namang dapat nating masaya tayo dahil ito ang sinabi ng, 2013 to, no? There are levels of current drug use. The levels of current drug use, drinking alcohol and smoking among young people aged 15 to 24 have dropped considerably. According to this study, it's because of the family. Family. All right, one more study by our graduate student. Siya ni Ma'am Pante. Advice siya. Ang ganda nga ng trabaho niya. No? When he was thinking of his thesis, Teacher Grace Luca Pante, no? Sabi niya, aralin mo kaya yung yung non-users din. And he found out these things. So magandang i-contextualize in cultivating health and well-being. It starts here. Ito yun, no? Spiritual, family, positive peer behavior, etc. Inaral niya, kahit sa study niya, case study of 8 out of school youth, no? I think male lang yata lahat, if I'm not mistaken. No? Parang yun ang recall ko. Inaral niya yung 8 yun. Ang ganda ng study niya is qualitative. Grabe, grabe. Interview and all. Ito yung lumabas. No? Yun nga sinasabi ko kanina, yung father ko is a smoker. But kaming 5 magkakapatid, even my mother 6, hindi. Pinigilan namin siya pero huminto lang siya. No? Yung kuya ko pa nga taga-bili ng sigarilyo, 1 pack yun. Hindi siya nanigarilyo. Huminto lang talaga nung nag-stop. And we never talked about it. Siguro, nasa tao rin, ano? Kung nakikita mong nangyayari sa tatay mo, gagawin mo ba? Hindi. So, it depends eh. It depends. No? Okay, so, let's weigh in for a bit. So, when we talk about cultivating, no, this is another strategy. Vulnerability check. I asked permission from ATC-PDE Director Francis Grace H. Lucapante to share this with you. No? We use this in one of our trainings, no? Personal and social skills training lives. Ay, kasama rin sila Dr. Domlao, speaker din siya doon. Kasama din sila Ma'am Girlie. And we devised a questionnaire, no? Ano kaya in Filipino, no? How many? 4 public schools, I think. No? Tama ba, Teacher Grace? I forgot. Basta 4 or 5. Tas before that, tingnan natin yung vulnerability. Tingnan namin through the following questions. Yan. Pagtataya sa sarili. Again, self-awareness. So it corroborates with Stowen. Parang German siya, Stowen. Study, no? Yung change your habits, change your life using two very important strategies. Self-regulation and self-awareness. So ito siya. So there are 11 questions pertaining, no? So babalikan nyo, risk assessment of vulnerability. Yan. Okay? I'm sorry, how do I go back? Okay, previous. Yan, ito na tayo. So after knowing the scenario, we plan for instruction. Again, ngayon nga, it's very, how do you plan? Believe ako sa mga basic ed teachers din. How do you plan? How did you make your modules? So you plan based on these three. And you need to go back to the curriculum guide and the most essential learning competencies. Ano? You tune in. So let us look into them. Yan. So you include this in your planning, in your strategy. Ano ba yung top 6 risk behavior? Siya. Again, you see, lahat ng aspect dyan, drug-related, drug use. So how do we cultivate? Ang hirap na nangyayari na to. Yung nga sinabi ko kanina, kung wala pang ganyan sa pamilya, sa mga anak o estudyante nyo, yun ang in-nurture natin. Kung meron na, tulungan natin mabago. So, two aspects ang titingnan natin when we teach strategy, no? Preventive dito sa isa, paano yung dito? Teach, anong gagawin natin dito, nangyayari na, so it's not preventive. Ibang approach gagamitin natin. Diba? Na ma-veer away sila, makakawala sila dun sa pinagdadaanan nilang to sa paggamit ng droga. Yung isa, hindi gumagamit ako, let's sustain that. May nabasa nga akong article, it's called abstinence. Akala lang natin, abstinence, no? Paano ma-maintain yung abstinence? Kami, paano namin na-maintain yung abstinence sa pag-ibig ni garilyo, kahit nakikita na namin, tatay namin. No? Okay, we plan for instruction again. We need all of these things. We need health curriculum guide. Ayan siya. Ito yung sinasabi. No? So sa parents, sa teachers, alam ng principals and teachers to. But how will we transcend this to parents? Ngayon lalo ng remote learning. Dapat ang magulang, ito yung sinasabi nating knowledge, no? Hindi lang pang eskwelahan siya. Lalo na pag health, it's so practical, kailangan to. Kayang-kaya sa bahay. No? Kasi ginagawa, practical nga, di ba? Part ng buhay ang health. Lahat ng nandyan sa curriculum guide, ginagawa sa bahay, ginagawa sa community. So, dapat alam din ng magulang. Ngayon nga, mas alam na kasi because of the modules. No? And then we need to look into the different characteristics. What is being taught? And again, we go integration. No? Anong kinalaman ng drug use sa nutrition? Kinalaman ng drug use sa personal, sa growth and development? It affects. It is evidence-based by the following researches that I've mentioned earlier in the take a look slide or group of slides. No? We can give quality, cultivate by tapping these strategies. Ito siya. Okay, health, education. Again, nandito, number 4, relevant, student-based. Ito yung mga intervention, develop life skills. Later on, I'll give specific, no? And of course, reduce health-related risk behavior. Remember the 6? And one of them is the drug use. And again, drug use, hindi siya separate. It can also affect the other 5 risk behavior. Again, let's take it look into the curriculum. Ito siya. Look, It's in grade 4, grade 5, grade 9. And again, pwedeng integrate, no? Okay, we look into the milks. Where is drug use in the milks, no? Yan siya, nasa grade 4, third quarter. Look at the content and look at the skills. They are life skills based, no? Life skills based siya. Cognitive based. Ito kasi yung dapat malaman. Ang ganda, no? Practice proper use of medicines. Kasi as we look back in the researches, pati prescriptive drugs na ano na rin na naaabuso, ginagamit na, no, leading to substance use disorder. It's already in grade 5 again. Ganda, life skill ito, ability, turuan mo, mag-say no, mamaya, yan na, look, sabi ko, caffeine, kape, naku po, ilang beses magkape, risk assessment, self-awareness, self-regulation, ang pwede ituro dyan. Grade 8, smoking, personal, you see, personal life skill yan, preventive. So, it's in the curriculum. Tinuturo sa school, how will you translate that to the parents? Again, we cultivate, no, them at home, cultivate at an early age. And it's also found in grade 9, protective factors. So, it's already there. We live it, no? Living experience ang health eh. So, ang ganda-ganda ituro kasi very practical at isinasabuhay, no? Kaya maganda i-prevent kaagad. Okay, so now we're moving towards different strategies. And let me just use this analogy kasi since it's cultivation, ang ano kasi na gardener or farmer, tayo ito. Yung seed, ito yung mga anak, estudyante. Ano yung itinatanim mo dyan? Drug-free values and practices. Walang drug sa bahay, walang naninigarilyo, walang ganyan. Then, nai-instill mo na. Paano teach, ma'am? Yung sa labas. Kung namulat siya dito, no, may strong values, may foundation, bibigyan mo pa ng tamang kaalaman, magandang ugali at tamang behavior, we can sustain, no, abstinence, no, of drugs. Drug-free talaga. So, let's walk you through. Of course, when you teach, ano ba yung core message in your family? Core message and skills. No? Drug-free attitude and behavior, you tap that. No? Okay? So, maganda ito yung communication skills. No? K to 3 to grades 4 to 6. Ano yung core message? Just say no. Talagang vehemently. Turuan mo ng iba-ibang skills to say no. Life skills will come. Mamaya, discuss natin. What about for grade 7 and 10? Ano yung core message? Just don't try. You know, nag-no na siya. Pangatawanan niya. Wag kang susubok. Yun ang tuturo mong ano. That's a core message. Life skills, no, and different strategy. And then sa college, ito kasi there are several studies, no, about college. Yung lalo na yung titira sa dorm, yung away from home syndrome. Ang ganda-ganda ng health pattern, behavior niya, nasisira pag nasa dorm siya. Kasi andun lahat ang risk behavior. Andun lahat, unhelpful situation nasa dorm, nasa labas, mag-isa siya. Just imagine, freshie, nag-dorm, yung ano pa ha, face-to-face pa, wala pang pandemya, what more today? So, i-instill mo lang yan. Tuloy-tuloy yan. It doesn't stop. Tuloy-tuloy siya. Ang inculcate lang natin, just live a drug-free life. Yun yung core messages. How do we do that? Yan na. Dapat systematic. There's a process. The materials are relevant and dynamic. Gone are the days. Kasi ang sabi natin sa health, when we teach preventive drug education, it's holistic. It's not, education cannot stand alone without the parents, without the laws and policies, and without the communities. Coordination, cooperation, sama-sama. Kaya nga dynamic siya. Alright, and it is what? Supported by behavior. Dapat alam natin pag nagtuturo tayo, paano ba yung behavior? So, basically, ito lang sinabi. Yung behavior natin is affected by the or influenced by the following beliefs, paniniwala, attitude, ugali, yung beliefs na dalawa, subjective, ay okay naman pala. Sabi ng kaibigan ko, okay, ay normative. Ginagawa ng lahat. Control, but you can control. Like what I did, no? I saw my father. Siya, okay manigay sa akin, hindi. Attitude ko, hindi nabali. No? Hindi, ayoko talaga. Kahit na kilala ako na nigarilyo, socially accepted drug naman yan eh. Sige na, hindi pa rin. Kasi control values. No? Ay, pag nanigarito ako, ito mangyayari. So, you can control. Yun ang sinasabi nitong fear of planned behavior. It is affected by several factors. The intention, bakit ako maninigarilyo? Babaw, hining ako, babaw. Again, there's, hindi na yung second-hand smoke, meron na yung third-hand smoke. Ito yung mga naiiwan. No? Kaya minsan, pag nanigarilyo, yung second-hand smoker, yung third-hand smoker, yung naiiwan, ito yun, third-hand smoke, yung sinasabi, na naiiwan sa katawan. Alright? Pag ito, naayos mo, you can live a drug-free life. So, in the family, important yung belief and behavior of everyone. And of course, ito na yung sinasabi ko by Professor Richard Thaler. What is nudge theory? Encouraging, or nudging, not being nannied. You give. Ito yung sinasabing subtle approaches. Subtle. Ito na yung if and then situation. Makakatulong in terms of cultivating drug use. Health and well-being. And of course, yung sinasabi kong policies, it is in a model. Ito siya. Yan. Ito yung health promoting schools. So, ilagay lang natin health promoting homes. Diba? So, sabi kasi natin, health should not be limited. Yung health education part should not be limited to the school only. But let us put it back at home. And then the whole school child approach, ito na yung mga different, sama-sama tayo. Ito, to have a healthy, safe, engaged, supported, and challenged learner or child. Again, kahit matanda na young adult learners, pwede siya. And then, coupled with this life skills, later I'll give the specifics. No? So, problem solving. So, steps lang. No? Decision making, creative thinking. These are the things that we should tap when we teach cultivating for health and well-being. Steps, turuan mo. Ako, may problema ako, nag-smoke ang best friend ko, paano gagawin ko para mag-quit siya? Tulungan mo. Bakit siya nag-smoke? Define mo yung problem, no? Yung identify, ano yung drug na ginamit? Bakit siya? Explore alternatives. Then, apply the alternatives and look back. Nag-work ba? Hindi. And then, try another one. Okay? Decision making, ito yon. Will I smoke or will I not? Pros and cons. Pag nanigarilyo ko ito, pag hindi, ay, mas marami pala sa hindi dito ako. Okay? Creative thinking. Imbis na mag-smoke, anong gagawin mo? Ito yung mga alternatives. Critical thinking, magkakasama, no? It's related, no? Ay, problem, thinking, and then solution. Paano kami? Problem, yung father nag-smoke. Thinking. May heart disease, thinking, anong gagawin namin to make him stop? Solution. When he stopped smoking, he gained weight. Yun ang naging problem, and then diabetes. So again, kala natin walang epekto ang drugs, may laking epekto yan. And of course, always start with self-awareness. Some people use drugs because of low self-esteem. So you have to increase their awareness. Ay, ano ba yung strengths niya? Ano yung interests niya? To overpower the weaknesses. Empathy, should try to understand. Pag magandang relasyon, interpersonal relationship, like what we mentioned earlier sa family, less drug use, and then of communication, is really say no. And there are measures, talagang be consistent, be strict, no? Talagang bawal ito. Pangatawa, management of stress. Kasi some people, lalo na pag stress, they smoke, they drink coffee, instead of doing natural. And then it's affected by emotions. When you're stressed, your emotions are affected. Now, this picture is interesting because it helps us, when you talk later on, we can use this in communication approach skill. Some people are shy, hindi talaga nagsasalita. So you present a visual cue. And then just ask them, how do you feel? Ayan na, sasabihin nila, I feel ito po. Ganyan po. So, again, yung drug use, pag unstable ang emotion, pag masyadong stress, you resort to drugs instead of resorting to the natural means. Ayan. All right, let's start. So, skills for drug education, from the list of 12 or 10, these are the things that we do in depth ed or sa NDEP. Skills for drug education. Again, group facilitation. Work as group peers, family. You can translate it in your homes by developing rules and goals. If we go back to the reasons why people use drugs, again, sabi natin, very alarming, yung pamilya mismo. So you can set rules. Sama sa rules and goals. O anak, talagang walang maninigarilyo. Anak, pag nahuli kita, anong gagawin sa'yo? So, rules and goals, you're cultivating already. No? Communication, ito yung games ng one whispers, no? Magbubulong ka lang ng message hanggang dapat hindi ma-retain. Syempre, maraming barriers. So, yun yung sinasabi din when people use drugs inappropriately kasi walang communication. Yung kanina, we can equate self-isolation. Yung isa siya, wala siyang kausap. Malungkot. So, paano papasaya? Drugs na lang. Okay? Decision making a personal choice. Agree, disagree. So, we are presented with questions here related to drug use, or even if it's not related to drug use. Dito makikita mo yung pros and cons. Bakit ako huminom ng drugs? Bakit hindi? Agree ba ako? Hindi. Bakit? And of course, you nurture self-esteem. Ito kasi ang pinaka reason why people use drugs. I think if it's number 2, basta top 10 reasons. You nurture your personal strengths. And then, anong secret friend? Well, people who see the goodness in you, yung mga gandang characteristics mo. Nagawa natin to na teacher lesson sa secret friend. May isang envelope. Hindi mo alam kung sinong naka-assign sa'yo, nag-observe sa'yo. Then that person will write good things about you. Diba? Raise ng self-esteem yun. And towards the end, may revelation, ay, sino siya? Magpapasalamat ka. So these are practical things, ways. Pwedeng gawin sa bahay, sa pamilya, sa kaibigan, relatives, pwede siya. And of course, the assertion. Assertive. Dapat turuan din ang assertion skills. Panindigan mo. Nag-aalok sa'yo, ayoko Bakit? Ayoko Basta ayoko. Or, pag inaalok ka, pwedeng assert mo yung effort mo, not as opposed to aggressive, no? Aggression. May physical, galit na ito, assertive. You assert in a nice way, no? Pero yung tone mo rin, You mean business, you're serious, you're asserting your right. No? So these are things na ginagawa sa school. I hope it can be translated at home. And of course, personal. Goal setting. Sasama mo yan. It's a checklist, a notebook. I will not. You always remind yourself. Always. Personal, I will finish high school without drinking, without smoking. Wala yan sa bokabularyo ko. Goal setting mo yan because you want to reach your dreams. Alright? Next. Okay, let's go by age or grade, no? So what do you see? No? Picture. Yan. So, gamitin naman natin dito yung communication. No? Na-mention na rin ni Mama Tibag last time. No? So, but center here on the behavior, the age group. This is where developmental characteristics come in. So, K to 3, they are most likely to be 5 to 8 years old. What behavior specific? So, I just tuned into a specific behavior that can be influenced by drug use. Mimicking, paggaya, imitation. So, your intervention. Use every opportunity to share your feelings about substance use. Teach on their level. Give short and honest answers. Pag nakita ng anak, yung estudyante mo, doon sa yung face-to-face pa, no? Nakita, ay si sir, nagyoyosi, bumili ng sigarilyo sa tindahan. Ay si ma'am, ay si guard, nagtatago ng beer sa kanyang lugar. Mimic. Ay baka pwede yun kasi siya ginagawa niya. Ganun. Or, yung nakita kayo, kapatid, teachable moment, no? Ay, anak, alam mo, mangyayari. Huwag yung anak, ano mo, if and then, anak, pag ginawa mo, ganito ang mangyayari sa'yo. Ay, hindi na lang po. So, alam mo, ano pa yung pakiramdam ng pag nakita, ay, ang baho naman ang yung nagagayahin. So, communication. Gaano ba ang kaalam mo about drugs? Pag sinabing, mami, pwede ako, hindi pwede. Bakit? O kasi ganito ang mangyayari. Wag lang yung hindi pwede. Have to explain. Alright? Again, 5 to 8 years old, anxious to learn, crave praise. No? Yan yung mga isentro natin. Kasi binibuild up natin ang self-esteem. No? Explain good drugs versus bad drugs. Repeat your message regularly. Praise freely when deserved. So, communication process. And how much you know. Why? Pag tinanong, why? There are good drugs for medical purposes. There are also bad drugs. Why? Why are there bad drugs? Why do you think smoking and but when daddy drinks alcohol, is happy. Hindi alam ano nangyayari sa brain, nadadal yung senses mo, kaya apektado ang kilos mo. Yung effect, depressant siya, di ba dapat dulling? Yun nga, it dulls your brain. So, nagwawala si tatay. Pag nakita na, ay, pag nalasing pala, gano'n na mangyayari. So, it validates yung explanation mo bakit bad drug siya. Paulit-ulit sasabihin yung message. In a nice tone, serious tone. Again, you put assertive skills here. Again, but you nurture. Huy, galing anak, hindi ka nanigarilyo kahit nanigarilyo sa party. Yung mga situation na gano'n, i-praise mo. Mabagsak ang grade, mag-resort sa drug. Kasi magdadag, iinom para to feel better. Hindi, no? Alright. Of course, there's also an activity, no? These are related to MELCS and K to 10 guide, no? Labeling drugs. Always, sabi natin nga, di ba? Knowledge, attitude, skills. Skills of discerning. Ito na yung literacy. So, parang may list. Kahit sa bahay ka, kuha ka lang ng mga, kung may gamot, kung may ano na dyan, or pag may nakita sa TV, or listahan, o anak, ano yung positive, mabuting kinds of drugs, ano yung masama, doon mo ilalagay sa negative. May skills ka ng sorting, decision making, communication, pasok yung mga ibang life skills dyan. By simply labeling drugs. gone are the days, may memorize mo lang, drugs and drugs classification. Na, siya ngayon. No? Ay, ito pala bad, ito pala good. Bakit? I-explain din lagi bakit. Okay? Grades 4 to 6, choosing to be drug-free. Again, ano yung core concept natin? Just say no. Pag high school, iba. Pag college, iba. No? Pero, tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung no, yung just say no, parang doon siya sa drug-free life. Maraming stressors na kaagad ang nararamdaman, lalo na ngayong remote. They experience a lot of stressors that leads them to drug use. So ibalik mo, i-redirect mo, anak. Marami pang healthy choices. I-manage mo yung stress mo. That's the natural way. So when we cultivate health and well-being, we go for the natural ways. The non-drug-free abstinence lifestyle with regard to drug use. Okay, it's only the time also to start to care about their look. Again, prescriptive drugs. Naiinom ako ng pampapaya. Pumayat nga siya. Pero, unnatural. So, remind them. Intervention mo, communication, personal, self-worth. Ayan. Okay naman anak ang itsura mo. To boost their confidence, again, personal life skills. Yan yung kaninang diniscuss natin. Napapasok dito. Again, well, at this age, peers mean a lot to them. Very important ng peers. So, again, if you look back, it's cool to smoke. It's cool to, you take this medicine so you can lose weight. It's cool to be slim and sexy. Is it really cool? Yan. So, you process your child. Kakamusta yung anak? Who are your friends? And then, equate nyo na rin yung refusal skills. So, hindi natin lagi masi-safeguard ang mga anak natin. Or I'm single, no? Hindi masi-safeguard lagi. Kaya nga, the life skills, yun yung best, ang ganda niya, yung best legacy ng mga teachers, ng mga magulang. Yung legacy mo na turuan, I think it's more, hindi lang dapat 1 ka, mataas 100 ka, ikaw ang perfect sa lahat. Sa akin, ang nagmamatter yung skills, yung adversity, adverse effects, yung pagpasok mo sa totoong mundo, how will you withstand everything? Paano ka naging non-drug user? Paano yung abstinence mo sa drug use? Mas mahalaga yan, yung kalusugan. Yun ang coupled with you strengthen your communication with your students or with your children. It's a long process. Discuss them about the risk. So, hindi mo naman pwedeng hindi pag-attend ng party ang anak mo. Sige anak, attend ka ng party. But, pag may nakita ka, yun yung skill na ituturo. O pag may nag-alok sa'yo, anong gagawin mo? Minsan tatanong mo sa anak, may beer ba dyan? May sigarilyo o ano? Diba? It's scary. It's scary for parents to allow their children. Remember, recall natin yung, I forgot how many years ago, yung party drug na ang daming namatay. You see? So, we cannot pamper them. We cannot protect them all the time. But we can protect them by empowering them with life skills approach and with nice attitude from you, love and care from the parents. Again, for this age group, again, it cuts across, pwedeng turo yan sa kahit anong level, age. Refusal skills is talagang no. You leave the situation, broken record, no. I can't, I don't. Minsan mangungulit pa no? Lalapit pa, no? No, thank you. You, again, broken record of flatly saying no. Or leaving the situation, finding alternatives. Ay, pag nakita mo, ay, naku, groggy na, or naku, may lasing na, alis ka na. Ay, hindi mo alam kung anong nando sa cup. ano bang nilagay dyan, baka may halo pang ecstasy. So talagang do not go to places that you know or situations that there is drug use. Kasi the temptation is there. Of course, for high school, ito siya. Ito yung lagi, when I read literature, no, ang laging yung adolescents. So naghanap ako, paano kaya sa young children? Kasi gusto ko ang approach natin when we cultivate for health and well-being, we start them young. We involve parents. So lahat ng ito pwedeng gawin ng strategy sa bahay. Wag lang stand alone ang school. So itong behavior nila, what is your intervention for each behavior? Talagang asahan na natin ito. Pero ako, when I was growing up, sabi ko, ano ba ako? Hindi ako part ng norm. Kasi wala ako nito, want to be noticed, want to belong, risk taker, want independence. Siguro ito, want independence, no? But I never rebelled. None of us rebelled. Kasi respect pa rin yung mo sa magulang mo, sa teacher, no? But I witnessed some of my friends and classmates rebel. So siguro it must be, kahit hindi ang tatay ko kasi, hindi yan madaldal, unlike my mother, no? Ang sa kanya kasi, modeling ang ginamit ng father ko when we were younger, when they were raising us up. Modeling. Yun lang hindi namin na yung modeling ng kanyang sigarilyo. No? Pero he stopped. Really, it's parents talaga. Babalikan yung literature na diniscuss natin. It's never too late, You can change. Self-awareness nga, no? Yan. And then, these are the things, abstinence box. Isusulat nyo lang, how do we do this? Isusulat sa paper. I don't want smoking, I will not try. Say no, alagay lang dyan. Ito pwede, pero ang context natin sa drugs kasi, but in all other health concerns, pwede siya gamitin. Tapos, titingnan lang, he reminds, kukunin niya doon, tapos, ito palang reminder ko. So, lahat ng iiwasan niya nandun sa box. Pag may temptation na, kukunin niya yung reminding. So, you're empowering. Wala nang ganun si tatay, wala nang ganun si teacher. Siya mismo na regulate niya, going back no self-regulation and self-awareness. Shield activity. This is a nice activity. If I may show you, it is similar to the coat of arms. I hope you can see it. Yan ang coat of arms. Then there are several questions here. Sasagutan. Let me read the 6. No? What do you regard as your greatest personal achievement? So it centers on personal skill. No? What do you regard? Self-esteem also. So these are self-esteem questions. Na ang ginagawa lang dyan, nire-recall mo, nagre-reflect ka. Kasi pag na-down ka sa sarili mo, gusto mo maging high, kuha ka ng stimulant. Pero ito yung natural way Kung hindi ka madaldal, isulat mo. Tapos balikan mo yung binasa mo. Ito palang magaganda tungkol sa sarili ko. So, hindi ka na mag-resort sa drug use, yung mga smoking, etc. No? Kasi na-affirm na. O may mag-a-affirm pa sa'yo. Remember the strategies that I've mentioned, personal and social skills. And self-esteem, yung talagang dapat i-build natin. These are self-esteem strategies. And then, of course, the refusal. Really, again, broken record. Talaga, stay away from the situation. And ito rin, if I see in a minute, I think Teacher Grace is using this in her class. Meron siyang parang bottle, tapos may straw. Parang para siyang simulation. Pag nag-smoke ka, iihip lang ng ganun. Walang cigarette, parang bottle with a straw, tapos parang may air lang doon. Ito ang mangyayari sa'yo, emphysema. Nangyayari sa mga tubules nyo sa lungs. Totoo nga naman, nagko-constrict. Pag mag-smoke ka pa ba? Yan. Smoking Pedro, I use this. So may dalawang plastic lang, ng water bottle, lalagyan mo lang ng holes. Drawing ka pa kaya ng smoking Pedro ang pangalan ko. Kahit anong pangalan ang gusto nyo, stimulate nyo lang yung effect ng cigarette. This time, gagamit ng cigarette. May sigarilyo talaga, no? Tapos makikita, once you pump, yung bottles doon may bulak, cottons. Filled it up with cottons, tapos drawingan nyo pa. Tapos gagano'n pa, makikita nyo yung residues ng nicotine. And alam natin ng cigarettes, 1,000, many of carcinogenic substances, carcinogens, in just one puff. Paano yan? Vaping, mas lalo yun. Akala nila, no, mariresolve ang issue about smoking once you vape. No. Marami pa rin ill effects. Alright? So, again, what I'm saying here is, hindi rin stand-alone ng life skills. You put extra supplementary interventions to value. Parang pinalalakas mo pa yung life skills by introducing other interventions. So again, ito samples for self-esteem and refusal skills. And then let's go to college. Ayan, ito yung behavior niya. So again, yung behavior, yung intervention should match the behavior. Teacher Grace is teaching EDH 130. So, when we share our strategy, natutuwa ako, no? Ang galing, very dynamic yung strategies niya na ginagamit. And we use values clarification strategies. Ang ano mo lang sa college kasi adult learner na, it's really helping them reflect. Yun yung mga reflective exercises. Reflect. Decision making, kasama pa rin yan kahit yung adult learners na yan. Babalikan mo pa rin yun eh. It's never too late to teach life skills. Ongoing yan, kaya nga life, diba? Ongoing yan. But the key is you teach them young. Of course, ito na yung pwede mong gamitin. Valued possessions. So, what do you value? What do you possess in life that you value the most? If you drink, if you smoke, if you take drugs, what will happen to your valued possessions? Public interview, ito lang yung sinasabi mo, ina-affirm mo lang, I will not smoke. Why? I-affirm mo lang sa because of this and that. Pwede mo mag-counter, bakit hindi? You see, you're affirming self-esteem, your communication, assertion, inventories. These are worksheets, ano? Again, i-ano mo lang, parang it's connected with decision making. Yung pros and cons. Again, it can also be used in self-esteem, no? Ano ba yung magaganda sa sarili ko? Itong tingin kong pangit, tingnan mo, uy, ang daming maganda. Minsan kasi sa ibang tao pa natin maririnig, no? Yung magagandang bagay tungkol sa atin. Tayo mismo, ako guilty dyan eh. Hindi ko, at least meron akong partner, si Teacher Grace Ducapante, na nagsasabi sa akin, teach iba-ibang tao. I-emphasize mo sa anak, sa estudyante mo, iba-iba tayo. May kanya-kanya tayong kagandahan at strength. Either forced choice, ito yung mga alternatives. If I do this, ito yung dapat mong gawin. May mga scenario, iba't iba pong pwedeng gawin do sa scenario na yun. Alright? So these are life skills and strength-based and values-based. Okay. We're moving on. Malapit na tayo. Baka na-overtime na ako, Sir Gian. Okay. So, to wrap up, no? To sum up, when you talk to your children, to your family, kasi ito yung part ng communication skills, and I want to emphasize this also. Send a clear message that you disapprove of drinking or using misuse of drugs. Magpaskil kayo doon. Ito napapasok ng IEC materials, ano? Talagang meron kayong set of group facilitation skills, ang papalikan natin, ito, sama-sama kayong gagawa. Contract, self-contract, kasama rin dyan. May stamp. Okay? Bakit? Nagdi-disapprove ka. Be open and show your concern for their well-being. No, kung nag-smoke siya, it's never too late to make him stop or her stop. Do it in an invitational way, in a positive way, through life skills. And of course, ikaw mismo, establish yourself as a trustworthy source of information. You know what you say, you don't do drugs, yan. And pay attention and discourage risky behavior. So, knowing the signs, early signs and symptoms, really. Yung true 1C, biglang bumagsak ang grade niya. Biglang ang baho na niya, hindi na siya nariligo. Ay, parang may upos ng sigarilyo doon. Or, uy, bakit nagtatago na siya ng beer doon sa ilalim ng kama, bote ng beer. Uy, bakit late na siya umuwi? Dati ang aga. Uy, sino itong mga kasama niya? You see? Pay attention and build your team skills and strategies for avoiding drug use. So again, risk assessment, we go back, and then life skills, and then values-based. And of course, the elements, then you go back. You increase your protective factors, environment, no presence of drugs, no buying of drugs. The drugs, i-contextualize natin, smoking, cigarette, alcohol, prescriptive drugs, siyempre nakatago yan, ano? At si nanay, si tatay lang. No? And then, yung environment natin, create safe spaces. No? Lalo ngayon, hirap yata kasi pandemic, no? But we try. And then, decrease risk factors. Again, you go back to the environment. Go back to the social factors, friends, kayo mismo. May presence ng drugs dyan. Dapat wala yun, o may situation na pwedeng mag-drug use siya. Engage in life skills, what I mentioned. When you do all of these things, ito yung magandang result. Improved, enhanced health and well-being, drug-free lifestyle, and maintain abstinence of drug use. And then, again, for us, teachers, educators, parents, we observe our child. No, ano ba yung bago? Ano yung magandang ginawa? Listening is very important. Gaano kahit negative o gaano ka negative or kasakit yung sasabihin. We listen, we don't judge, but we do it invitationally. We pick them up when they're down. A hug, pero ngayon, pwede naman na virtual hug. Helping hands instead of stomping them. Apakan pa. Muna nga, nasa down na, very down na nga siya. Instead, raising up with a warm hug or with warmth and care. And big feet for walking. No? Kung nagkamali siya, alalayan. At kung hindi pa non-drug user siya, the same thing. Observe, continually observing. Kasi behavior changes. Makinig ka sa sinasabi niya. Mahalin mo at tulungan. And again, model, coach, monitor. Teach health and well-being from the heart. It will be worth your while. And you can explore this, reflective thinking. Ito yung pwede na cognitive-based. Turuan mo siya. Ayan. What? So what? Now what? O anak, di ka pala maninigarilyo. So what? Bakit? Ano ngayon? O ano ba, naturuan mo siya about cigarette, about prescription drug, about alcohol. These are the steps to help him think, no? Whether to use drugs or not to use. Pero tayo we're leaning towards non-use of drugs. You may also explore this, no? Or values clarification. Again, ito yung mga activities embedded. You walk through them. Kasi ito, pag maayos ang tingin sa sarili, maayos ang values, I hope, no, we can live in a drug-free situation. And these are some of the references that I used. And then we go back. What is your health? What do you want your child's health to be? Of course, we want it to be here, to Together, let us huddle up and beat COVID-19 and choose to be drug-free. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much po, Teacher Ichi. Parang i-knock through niyo po kami sa isang semester of concepts. Tama po ba? These are things that you also teach in the University of the Philippines, health education.
Opo.
Strand.
Yes po. Yes po.
Opo.
Sorry,
And-
Sir Gian. I think nag-overtime yata. I'm so sorry.
Opo. Actually, Prof, Teacher Ichi, ang na-appreciate ko po how you situated yung very sa unang pagtingin parang ang simple lang ng concept ng drug education. Pero pag i-connect po pala siya doon sa iba-ibang concepts, theories, sa behavior change, sa even from the start where you started about knowledge and so on. And very parang bitin pa nga po eh. Kaya kanina we were supposed to give you a times up, and thank you for our viewers for staying, no? Kasi
I'm
we
so
knew that
sorry.
we already reached the 6 o'clock. But you were presenting really helpful. I think these are information, lalo pa po nung nagpunta na kayo sa per grade level, ano yung behavior, and then ano yung parang appropriate na response or way of engaging with that grade level. Ayan. So usually po, Teacher Ichi, we have Q&A toward the end. But because of the limited time that we have, I think mukhang nasagot nyo naman din po kasi there are some questions earlier about yung specific ill effects of drugs. Pero I think your topic this time is hindi na about dun eh kasi we had those discussions early on. But really, what are the practical tips already and tools that we can use? We liked how you show from time to time yung iba-ibang mga parang instruments and tests. Parang if we had more time and if this was a face-to-face discussion, sana na-experience yun ng mga participants natin. But I think, teacher, our other teachers who are watching now took note of these tools and perhaps they can explore better kung ano pa yung mga tools na to at paano pa siya gamitin. Ang question ko na lang siguro po, Teacher Ichi, isang common question po pala lagi nilang ina-ask. Will you share the PowerPoint daw po ba?
Of course,
Para
yes,
lagi nila maging reference.
Yes, of course, I will. I'll send you the updated one kasi I sent earlier. Kasi 'di ba pag gumagawa tayo ng PowerPoint, minsan nababago pa, but I'll share the latest. I will resend it to you. Of course, I will share.
Okay. Yan. So to our viewers, especially those who asked sa ating link, no, if this PowerPoint will be shared because you felt like it was a very good summary of the things that you've been looking for in the past weeks, how to teach concepts, what activities to teach. I-share po yung PowerPoint perhaps after this series na lang kasi may quiz pa tayo. So we wanted you to really watch the episode para mag-grasp yung buong yung ideas that we were trying to teach. So teach ito na lang din kasi yun nga, we want to wrap up soon. Okay lang po. Actually may nag-feedback po kanina na kahit nga daw si Sir Pops, no, yung ating pong ICT support. Magandang topic kahit nag-OT. Pero there's also a feedback here from Ma'am Matabungkay or May. The resource person is very inspiring and explains really well. The richness of the topics teach yung isa sa nakita naman namin dun sa presentation ninyo. Ito na lang po siguro, teacher, ay isa sa mga parang reservations of teachers and parents when talking with children about drugs. The same reservations maybe that people have when it comes to other risky behaviors is pag napag-uusapan, baka lalong mag-try. And sometimes there's this reservation, wag na lang ituro, wag na lang pag-usapan. But what you have shown in your presentation is that we can teach and there's a way to teach that is appropriate dun sa age ng learners.
Thank you, Sir Dia.
Parang ako na lang pasensya na sa mga nagtanong, no? Parang inano ko na lang, that's my personal takeaway. But would you like just to give any final words, teacher, para po sa ating mga learners and viewers?
Let me go back to the second slide. Yung change habits, no, talagang importante yon. Talagang importante. Change lifestyle. Ayun nga, I see here, Riza Serafin Sabi niya, change the belief to change the behavior. So sa akin naman, change the habit, change the lifestyle. So we can do it, no? Tama si Sir Gian, very sensitive. Tayo nga, tikom, no? Sa pamilya namin, we never discuss, pero meron yung, ayoko talaga mag-smoke. So I did not, no? So ganun yung yung building talaga, it's the family. Yung sa akin talaga, mahalagang simulan. Pwede pa ma-transform, pwede pang mabago. There's a will, there's a way. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much again po, Teacher Ichi.
You're welcome.
A professor from the University of the Philippines College of Education, particularly teaching subjects on health education.
Thank you
po.
very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you po. Ayan, so to our viewers, alam ko marami rin kayong mga takeaways from tonight's session, especially that we have tools. Personally, another takeaway that I have is that yung mga present ni Teacher Ichi na mga tools, these are like application ng mga principles na pinag-usapan natin early on. So when we have the time siguro as teachers and NDEP coordinators and other health personnel, we can take some time and sit down and brainstorm with our colleagues paano natin ita-translate yung mga principles na natutunan natin about evidence-based interventions, compassion, breaking the stigma, and developing tools that are really age-appropriate. If we do that on our own, at the end of the day, perhaps, we will still come up with the same tools na pinakita ni Teacher Ichi. But while we don't have the time yet to develop our own, very rich yung presentation sa mga tools na pwede nating balikan. And if we explore the World Wide Web and other resources out there, marami pa rin naman tayong mga age-appropriate na evidence-based interventions na pwede nating gamitin when engaging with our learners in talking with them about drugs. Isa sa mga personal quotes na nakuha ko about drug prevention is more than just yung saying no, yung pagsabi ng pagtanggi, it begins with right knowledge. So it's about saying no. And I think yung model ni Teacher Ichi na pinakita niya kanina from the start of her presentation, it begins with knowledge. And it's gonna be a journey again of teaching our learners paano ba yung mga magandang impormasyon na i-share sa kanila, ano yung bagay sa edad nila, at ano yung magiging useful for them. So if you still have comments, questions, and insights about this episode, we still welcome them and we will let our resource person know about your feedback. Go to the link that is shown on your screen. Let me just end with a few announcements and assignment. Ayan. So first, meron kaming assignment sa inyo kasi last episode na natin next week. For the past 9 episodes, maggawa nga po kayo ng 1 minute lang, wag naman po napakaba, 1 to 2 minutes of vlog. 1 minute will do, a few seconds, where you share how you have taken a specific lesson from our webinar series and applied it in your own context. Ayan. So, if you are open to sharing your vlog to the public, to our viewers next Tuesday, make your post public and use the hashtag NDEP Web Series. Diba every start of our session, we have some recap, we play the song of Okay sa DepEd. Like we did way back in episode 2, we will feature some of these vlogs or some of you who are talking about how you are applying what you have learned from our NDEP webinar series. Since it's gonna be our last episode and we will be missing all of you. And some announcements bukod sa assignment na yan. First announcement, we would like to inform everyone. Yan, punta na tayo sa announcement. Na katulad ng sinabi natin last week, ongoing pa rin until November 30, binuksan nating muli ang letter writing for tobacco control, where we encourage our learners to write to their respective legislators about policies they want to support or propose when it comes to tobacco control. Tobacco being one of the substances in substance use prevention. So, if you are a teacher, encourage your learners to participate in this contest. You can go to the link na nasa inyong screen para po sa mechanics ng contest na yan. And last, another announcement. It's again happening next week. Kung inyo pong na-take note sa ating school calendar, next week is the Drug Abuse Prevention and Control Week. Ang tema po ay Better Knowledge for Better Care. And what is a very good coincidence, no, that we will end our NDEP webinar series on the Drug Abuse Prevention and Control Week. And we have a very good speaker next week. Ma-excite kayo kung paano tayo mag-end sa ating NDEP webinar series at magtatahi-tahi ng lahat ng ating sessions, which is a good time to celebrate the Drug Abuse Prevention and Control Week. Baka kayo sa schools ninyo, meron ding mga online activities or sa mga divisions and regions ninyo related to DAPC Week. So, i-align natin yung ating episode next week sa celebration na gagawin ninyo for this occasion. So those are our announcements. Again, for our reminders, like we do every week, kung meron po kayong questions about this webinar, pumunta lang po kayo sa bit.ly/2020 NDEP web series at nandun po ang memorandum natin for this activity and ang details step by step, paano kumuha ng certificate, paano mag-register, paano mag-take ng quiz, at paano maipasa yung quiz na yon so that you get your certificates. You only register once for the entire webinar series. Kasi some of you still ask, we assume na baka pumasok na lang kayo sa webinar at the middle of the series. So we announce this every week, and this we hope na mapuntahan niyo yung site na yan para ma-address ang inyong mga questions. We cannot answer all your queries po kasi one by one, so we try to answer them here through our broadcast. And like what we do every week, we would like to thank our partners inside and outside the Department of Education. Ang ating pong speaker ngayon and the speakers natin from the past weeks, most of them come from the ASEAN Training Center for Preventive Drug Education. Maraming salamat po sa DDB. Thank you very much sa inyo pong pag-support at pakikipag-partner sa DepEd para sa web series na ito. And thank you to our partners inside the Department of Education, our champions for substance use prevention, ICTS, Public Affairs Service, Youth Formation Division, DepEd Regional Offices, and our school health and nutrition personnel for mobilizing participants and reminding them and disseminating information about this activity na matatapos na next week. And of course, all of you who faithfully follow us every Tuesday and who have done so in the past 9 weeks, may 1 week na lang po tayong magsama-sama for this series na mag-end next week. We would like to see you again next week. For tonight, stay safe, everyone.